first of all, what's going on in the county. And let me just say, I consider the position that I have been elected to a great honor. And it is a tremendous honor to serve as the chairman of the Board of Supervisors in Fairfax County. This is an awesome county. It's just a wonderful place to live. It's a wonderful place to work. It's a wonderful place to raise our families. And it's also increasingly becoming a wonderful place to grow older comfortably. And we're looking out for our aging community as well as our younger community, kids in our schools. So it's important that we look out for all of those things, that we not drop the ball. And one of my priorities when I first was elected to the Board of Supervisors, I called for a retreat, and all of us sat down and we talked together about what are the things that are our priorities, what are the things we care about. And one of those things is that we do keep taxes affordable for our residents and for our corporate neighbors, so that people are able to live comfortably in Fairfax County. Everyone is not wealthy, despite the fact that we do have among the highest incomes in the United States. Everybody is not wealthy. I'm not wealthy. And many of you would not consider yourself to be wealthy. And so we all need to be cognizant of and sensitive to the affordability of the services that we provide. And having said that, on the other side of the equation, we want to make sure that we continue to maintain the quality that we're known for in Fairfax County. But at the very top of the list is our excellent educational system. And despite the fact that we have just gone through 3 years of a severe economic downturn, what we're referring to as the Great Recession, we still have managed to keep all of our Fairfax County high schools in the top percentile in the whole United States. And that's an applause line, because that wasn't an easy thing to do. What we care about in Fairfax County, and these are things that we as Democrats care about, we care about great schools. We care about great schools because we want our children to get a good education. And in order to do that, we need to make sure that we've got the best teachers teaching our children, and the best facilities, the best materials for our children to be able to learn. And so that needs to be number one. And I also like to say a statistic that most people don't realize or don't know. Did you know that less than 30% of the households in Fairfax County actually have children in the school system? And so some people may say, well, why is that your highest priority? And why does more than 50% of your budget go to education? And here's my answer. A well-educated community makes everything shake out right. When you start with a well-educated community, you've got kids who stay here, they're getting a good education, they're going on to higher education. Jobs want to locate here because they know that they can find an educated workforce. And so kids are finding good jobs, satisfying jobs. They're able to turn around and put back into the community because of that. You have fewer social problems. You have fewer problems that require law enforcement and the sheriff's department and jails. And so if you start at the top of the pyramid with education, everything else shakes out right. And you don't need to invest as much in some of those other things because you have such a well-functioning community. So I congratulate the school candidates who are here, the school board members who make it happen in Fairfax County. This is something that really is important and that we need to make sure that we see continue when we have, and we will have, new members of the school board who will be elected because a number of members are retiring. So it's important that we replenish the numbers on the school board with people who are responsible and who care about education and care about our kids and do the responsible thing. Something that I also want to mention that I think is really important and that we can claim as Democrats. We have been responsible, and it's hard to be responsible because sometimes you have to make decisions that are not well understood, maybe not popular, but it's important to make the decisions that are responsible in Fairfax County. And I think that we've done that. And let me just give you an example of the budget that was just passed in Fairfax County. As you know, we are a board of 10 members. 7 of us are Democrats. 3 of our members of our board are Republicans. When we voted for the budget, essentially we kept people's tax bills steady. So we adopted a tax rate that reduced the rate from $1.09, which would have been a tax increase of about $110 annually. We reduced the tax rate to $1.07, which I consider to be flat. It actually is a $20 increase annually, and the Republicans on the board called that a tax increase, which smarts. In order for us to get it down further, even by a half a cent, that would have, and let me just put this here, that would have required us to find $9 million more in reductions. And the Democrat members of our board just weren't willing to go that far. And let me tell you about some of the things that we wouldn't have done that were in an alternative package that Supervisor Harity proposed. He would not have invested in video cameras for our police cars so that you've got a record of what has happened when someone has been stopped or when there has been an incident, and there's questions about, you know, was that fair, was that right? And so we have wanted for a long time, and so has our police chief, to install those in our police cars. Some of the other things that they wouldn't have done, and that is $2 million to invest in training for our fire and rescue department. And the training is for advanced life support. And so this is for someone who shows up when you call 911 and you or your loved one is having a heart attack or is having some kind of a severe health situation or an accident, and you want to make sure that the person who shows up at your door is able to help you, who has the training for advanced life support. Not an inexpensive thing for us to do, but we made sure in our budget that that was taken care of. There were a number of other things that we made sure as Democrats that we were investing in Fairfax County because we care strongly about those things. And so making sure that we're responsible, that we're investing in our community is something that I think our board has done well. I've been on the board for this, let's see, actually this is my 24th year in office. And sometimes it seems like just yesterday. And of the 24 years I've been in office, about 22 of those years I've been the chairman of the budget committee, and it's something that I just can't give up because I enjoy that. And I enjoy it because when you're adopting a budget, and I love the process of adopting a budget, it's important that you're adopting a spending plan with your community, because budget isn't really about numbers, as you've heard here tonight. Budget is about philosophy. Budget is about naming your priorities and investing in your priorities. And you can have people who stand up in front of a crowd like this and talk about all the things that they believe in and all the things that they're going to do, but it doesn't mean anything unless they're willing to, working with the community, invest in those priorities, invest in those initiatives. And so when you're adopting a budget, you're doing so with the community, for the community, listening to the community, with the community at the table. And that, I think, is a satisfying thing to do and a very satisfying place to be. So I continue to be budget chairman just because I really enjoy that stuff. Some of the things that are on our plate this year, there are things that are on your plate and there are things that you put on your plate. I've learned that over the years. And so the things that are on our plate was the budget that we just adopted. That happens every year, whether we like it or not. Important to do it right. And also on our plate this year, whether we need it or not, is redistricting and elections. And those things are joined at the hip this year, because not only is this a redistricting year and new district boundaries are being drawn, but then we elected officials or candidates are running in brand new districts sometimes, or in new precincts, at least in districts that have been shifted around. That's happening on the federal level, it's happening on the state level, and it's happening on the county level. I'm proud of the process that we've had in Fairfax County. We've had a citizens committee. Kate Hanley was chairman of that committee. She did an outstanding job. And Jeff McKay has been the board's liaison on that committee to work with my colleagues on bringing a plan to the board that we will be adopting on the 26th. And so next Tuesday, we're going to be adopting a redistricting plan. Some of the other things that are going to be on our plate, whether we like them or not, and actually these are things that are hard, the BRAC realignments, where the Department of Defense is moving people around and looking at the way that's happened, sometimes you scratch your head and you wonder how on earth was that decision made. And some of those decisions, I think, were poor decisions. And so we've been pedaling as fast as we can on a state level as well as the county level to help make sure that we're looking out for the traffic congestion and the traffic mitigation that needs to be provided, and making it possible for those folks who are moving as a result of the BRAC realignment to be able to work in their new locations.